Hello, everybody. It's 10:52 a.m. Central Time on the 6th of February, 2023. It's Monday now here in the United States. Several hours have passed since our big earthquakes over in Turkey. And I say earthquakes because you might not be aware. That's why I'm doing this update now. Let you all know an additional extremely large earthquake struck while I was taking a quick sleep nap after the big earthquakes originally. A second 7.5 to 7.8 earthquake struck, in addition to additional 6s and 5s, but the second 7.5 to 7.8 caused additional severe damage, and the location is about 50 to 60 miles to the north. If you watched my updates last night, we were talking about the area about 100 miles, 60 miles in particular I was mentioning, about watching around for potential large earthquake activity that could go up to or greater than the original. Now what I'm going to do here is take you through my Twitter page first to show you here is the moment the second earthquake struck. They had media there. I'm not going to play the audio on it. It immediately hits, and many more buildings collapsed when it hit. Death toll is now in the multiple thousands. 2,400, 3,000 is what's being reported. Stuff like this, guys. This person up there is alive. They're trapped on the third or fourth floor with a sandwiched building on the fourth floor hanging out the side. Look at this. I can't even take this kind of stuff. I'll start. I seriously, it's just I hate seeing this kind of stuff. Look at it. Oh my God. I did my best to find the best footage that I could that was confirmed. People were uploading fake videos. Shame on them. However, this was a giant castle that was there. It's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. Check this out. This one you got to see. Look at this runway here. This is an airport runway. Look at this. You have any idea the amount of buckling and thrusting that has to happen for that to take place? Like that. Look at the look on his face. I'd be doing the same thing, guys. I would. Even if it was a 7.0 earthquake here in Missouri, if I saw something like that, look at that. And that's just, luckily nobody was hurt on that particular break, but then you get into these other buildings, and it's so bad. It's not just a little bad. And these are the ones that don't have the bodies in the videos. I mean, it's I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. Maybe we have to go back to maybe an Iran earthquake or where there's a lot of stone stack structures. People on the second and third stories being rescued by fire and rescue, where the whole walls of the entire structure fell off the side, for instance. This is what we're talking about when it's disturbing. These people, look, they have maybe a foot of space in there at the most. So if you want to come over to my Twitter page, you can scroll down and see the damage from these huge earthquakes. This goes on for miles. You get the idea. It's going to be more than 2,400 people, guys, especially with the second earthquake hitting. So that all being said, what I would like to do now is to go look up the earthquake information, find out where the new 7.5 struck exactly, what the depth is, and so forth. They have it at an auto-generated depth of 10 km. That could be anywhere between 10 km and the surface. It was shallow enough that it immediately caused devastating damage. The second quake, 7.5 to 7.8, we'll just say it's about the same size as the original quake. 9 hours apart. So the first quake struck at 1 o'clock UTC, and the second earthquake struck at 10 o'clock UTC, 9 hours apart. The first quake struck down here. Second quake struck up here. I think I should probably mark both of them. I'll do that at a separate time or date. But just to measure, I'm just going to do the measurement here, just rough measurement, down to where the previous quake was. And this is just a rough measurement. But yeah, look, we're 60 miles. Now, 60 miles matters because last night in my update, we were talking about the additional earthquake over here, 60 miles. We were talking about 100 miles to 150 miles, a spread of earthquakes going in the other direction, back to the northeast. Let's go see if we can see those there. Let's get all the rings out of here. There it is. There's the spread of earthquakes that I'm talking about. Going 150 miles to the northeast, to the south, all the way down into, what is that? Wow. Okay, it's going all the way down south now, and they upgraded that earthquake. It's going north of Israel. That Lebanon? I'm guessing on the countries, guys. I don't hardly ever have to report down south. Yeah, that's Lebanon. So over to the west, we got a 5.5, and then an outbreak going across the Aegean Sea. But the big deal here is the new 7 on top of the 6s. And now that we've seen the spread of earthquakes, that line, one more time. Take a look at the line of earthquakes here and the way it's going. It's following that plate boundary. Now I'm going to open up a plate boundary map from the USGS and show you what's really moving here. Something that's not marked, but should be. And I think they probably will have to if it completes all the way across. At least half of the open area between both plate boundaries, between the African plate and going over to Saudi Arabia and over to the East Asia. Both plate boundaries meet right here, but the USGS has nothing connecting them. Now there's a bunch of earthquakes connecting them. But 60 miles around this. This is the north by northeast edge of the African plate. Goes all the way across, meets up with South America. Now, 16 days ago, 2 weeks ago, big deep earthquake below Argentina. I issued a warning for a 7.8 to strike at Colombia. Deep earthquake below Argentina, looking for a 7.8 to strike here by day 14. Day 14 came and went. That was yesterday. Then the 7.8 hit, but it hit here. Why? Deep earthquake below South America. I think what happened, the energy came up below, went underneath, and came up on the edge of the African plate instead of on the edge of the South American plate. So if I'm looking for a 7.8 to strike here, and a 7.8 strikes here on the same day, on the last day of the watch, that's the earthquake we're looking for. What happened? Energy flowed underneath and came up on the edge of the plate adjacent to where the deep earthquake happened. The next plate over. A huge push. It's never happened in the time that I've been watching, which is 12 years. So back to it. 7.5 to 7.8 earthquake struck 60 miles to the north. That's on top of the 60-mile spread we were talking about in my update last night. Devastating damage across the area. It is now confirmed we're in the multiple thousands of fatalities and tens of thousands injured. A lot of people asking me, does this earthquake look natural? Well, yes and no. Yes, in that it was caused by a deep earthquake a world away. No, in as much as that I have not seen any other examples of this. So natural, I can't put it at like a facility. We can't nail it down to HAARP or Europe's ISCAT up in Norway. Norway and Sweden, North Europe, have their own HAARP. That's the ISCAT, E-I-S-C-A-T, where they can use it to do ionospheric excitement, just like HAARP. But they use FM radio waves instead of high-frequency radio waves. Frequency modulated, just like you would get in your car. Like your car radio might go up to 108 FM. Well, this starts at around 200 FM. And it works the same way as HAARP. And they have 5 stations, or at least they're building 5 different arrays across these countries. And the 5 arrays can target an area up in the ionosphere and excite it and create northern lights air glow, which then generates very low frequency, which then can induce earthquake activity. Now, they don't have studies saying this, They all deny this. So I'm telling you it's possible in the face of every professional who says that it's not possible, which they're all full of crap. At least on this. Yes, it can induce earthquake activity, but I don't know what harmonics, I don't know what frequency, I don't know what power would be used. That would be all stuff they would figure out at a place like ISCAT or HAARP. So could they cause an earthquake? Yes. I find it ironic that the countries that Turkey's in a feud with just so happen to have their own. I don't know if Turkey has their own. I doubt it. Maybe it might be time to start building. Now, let's go in. Hey, I'm not just kidding. Now, down here to the south, 7.5, 7.8 on top of the previous 7.5 to 7.8 on day one of this. Energy has not flowed anywhere beyond, let's just say, over to Malta. Or not even that, over to the Aegean Sea. So we went to Romania. We went to Italy with 2s last night. No significant earthquakes spreading out beyond this location, which means we have to watch for additional breaks to take place. How big? Up to and equal to the original 7.8. There's the potential for another 7 as long as the energy stays in here. It's now been almost a full day of the energy staying in here with no significant earthquake striking out beyond Europe. The potential does exist for an additional 7 on top of the other 7s that are already here. Could go as high as, I think, as high as the original is 7.8. And it'll stay there as this wave reverberates around through here. Let's go over to the USGS map and show you where I'm talking about. Over in Europe, the wave is bouncing around right in here right now, mainly stuck right in here. But it should spread out over to the west, to Italy. That's why I warned Italy at the Adriatic Sea, Albania, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Romania. All 3 are warned for near 6.0 level activity or greater in the next few days. Right now, it's all stuck in Turkey. Now, that's not all that's happened. This is just the big quake that hit. Something else significant happened, at least for my U.S. viewers. How about a rare 4.0 earthquake on the East Coast, just north of where I told you to watch yesterday? In my video yesterday, I brought up this area right here. The Ohio-Pennsylvania border region. The reason I brought up the Ohio-Pennsylvania border region and told you to watch for a 4 was the train derailment. Train derailment gets reported. I got on and talked about it. We talked about the previous earthquakes on either side. Let me show those to you. There we go. See the red earthquakes up north off the coast of Maine? And the white earthquakes down south down at Georgia? What would you say the halfway point is between the red earthquakes up in Maine and the white earthquakes down in Georgia? Right here is the halfway point. If we just go and do a straight line between the two, halfway point's right there. And halfway point right there is where the train derailed. So, when I saw 2 earthquakes, like a 2-arm scale balancing on both sides of the East Coast, that's why I issued the warning for a greater earthquake to strike in the middle, in between the 2 quakes on either side. And the magnitude we warned for was 4, and 3.8 came rolling in. I talked about the border at Ohio and Pennsylvania. This technically hit at the border of Canada and New York, and we're definitely within 200 miles, so there it is. Check it off the list, a more rare 4.0 range quake striking on the East Coast. It's just proof that energy transfers across the craton. It's not a big deal, really. I mean, people felt it and knocked things off shelves up there and woke people up. I guess that was a big deal for a lot of people. I don't blame you. You're getting a 4 up there and it was unexpected by your professionals, right? Somebody called 911 and 911 operator told them it came from the earthquake in Turkey. Somebody let the professor know over in California. Let him know. Let him know that. 911 operators telling people it came from the earthquake in Turkey. No. The flow came across the United States from the other direction, from the West Coast. That's why you had your train derailment first. The plate shifting on the edge of the North American craton. Let me show you the craton diagram here. See that? Take a look at the screen now. The earthquakes are matching our craton, going down around the outside edge, down through Texas, back over to Georgia, back up the East Coast. And guess what went into the system to begin with? See up here? A 3.9. Well, I'll be darned. 3.9 went into the system, 3.7 to 3.9 down south in Texas, and a 3.8 to 3.9 up in the Northeast. All in 2 days' time. 3 days' time at the most. That's not a coincidence. This is a regular occurrence to see the earthquakes flow across the edge of the craton. It's one of my biggest discoveries, that earthquakes flow around the edges of plates, not just plate boundaries, and that they're related to one another. The magnitudes are about the same size. A 3.9 on one side of the plate and a 3.8 on the other. What's the difference between a 3.9 and a 3.8 a day apart? Hardly anything. They're about the same size. That means momentum is being maintained as this wave is traveling across the plate. It's not exactly dissipating. The equations of elasticity aren't applying to this wave, or it's such a big and more powerful wave that it's only losing a hair of a point between Vancouver and Maine, or Vancouver and New York, across thousands and thousands of miles. It's not that a 3.9 is causing a 3.8 on the East Coast. 3.9 on the West Coast is not causing a 3.8 on the East Coast. It's that the 3.9 on the West Coast and the 3.8 on the East Coast, both along the edge of the craton, connected by similar-sized earthquakes in between. It's that all three sets of quakes going across the craton are caused by a greater force. And that force is equal to near 4.0. A wave equal to 4.0 went across the whole United States, dropped off near 4.0s all the way across in the course of 2 days. A wave equal to 7.8 is bouncing around over here, over in Turkey, and it should spread out across over into Europe, and we should get sets of sixes, which aren't that much less, spread out in three directions across Europe as the wave spreads. It's a big deal. We've got a major seismic event taking place right now. The biggest in years for Europe and the biggest in months for the planet. Getting to 8.1. This thing dinged in at 8.1 last night. Set off all the alarms on my screen as I'm on live. Wild, wild, wild. Now, in the past few minutes, they've now reported in a second 5.5. This is on top of the 5 that the USGS ignored last night. So there was a 5 here last night where this 5.5 is. USGS deliberately omitted that quake. But now they've got a new one on there. A new 5.5. Energy spreading across Turkey. We already knew it was last night. Go watch my video from 12 hours ago. And we talked about the spread going across Turkey. And the USGS deliberately not reporting the quakes that are showing the spread. Well, now they are. I wonder if they'll delete this one. Maybe they'll take it down to a 4.9. I'm not trying to dog them too hard, but when you start missing 5s, if I missed 5s, people would make a big deal about it. And that's just me. I'm just a YouTube video maker and live streamer. So if I miss something, people freak out. What about the agencies, you know? If you deliberately omit a quake. You can't tell me it was not a legitimate earthquake. The Turkish agency and the Europeans both reported it. So, the 5 that was missing. Why does it matter if a 5 misses over to the west of the big one? Because that shows a spread taking place last night over to the west. And you want to see exactly what's going on with this. You want to see the spread. And if they don't report the quakes, guess what you're not going to see? The spread. Oh, did you know that the professionals said there were no spreads? So it's pretty odd to hide them, wouldn't you say? Let's go ahead and save this as a video. People were asking me, I'm going to be doing a new forecast. Yes, I will be doing a new forecast for the rest of the planet. We'll look up all the earthquakes around the rest of the world. But I do not want to combine my update here with Turkey and the United States with the rare 4.0 on the East Coast. Don't want to combine that with a forecast. We're going to get a separate video out where people don't get distracted. We can just go right into it and tell you the spots to watch. Now, I already have issued warnings in my 2 updates last night and this morning for this when this event happened. So, for instance, we have a warning going in Italy. We have a warning going in Albania, Montenegro. We have a warning going in Romania for all 3 locations to get hit. It's not like we're just going to wait for one to get hit. We're looking for all 3 to get hit by near 6.0 level activity in the next few days. Also, what I raised as potential last night has now taken place. A new 7.8 hit. Downgraded to 7.5, whatever. A new upper 7 struck on top of the previous, 60 miles away of all things. 60 freaking miles away. I had people messaging me from Turkey thanking me for issuing the warning for the 6. I did issue the warning for a 6, and then 12 hours later, this earthquake struck. I have a lot of people in Turkey who are messaging me. They're not from the earthquake epicenter, obviously. They must be from some other part of the country, but asking me if I'd be willing to come over. I don't have a passport, and I don't know if I want to leave the country. No offense. It's nothing with your country. It's just I don't want to leave my country right now with the way things are going on in the world. Last thing we need is Dutch synths flying around the world, right? I'd probably not even make it there. You watch my plane disappear like MH17. So coming over there probably wouldn't be, and I don't know what I could do from over there anyway. I thank you for the invitation. I think I could probably serve a better function here by rallying support for people who need help in Turkey. I'm not going to be doing any kind of fundraisers, but I will urge everyone who's listening, if you got even a few extra bucks or whatever, if you have things you could even send to international aid, find those things online and do it. Just do it. Don't wait for somebody to tell you to do it. I mean, now I am, but don't wait. Find either a charity or a religious organization or so forth that works over there, that is over there, that could use the help, and give it to them if you can. Don't let politics get in the way. Don't let religion get in the way. Don't let stupid stuff get in the way. Be a nice person and be kind even if you don't want to. Sometimes you have to be nice and kind and helping even if you don't want to. I don't know who wouldn't want to be nice and kind and helping, though. Only some real mean people. I would treat all the... and for those of you who might gloat over something like this, I noticed that that's also going on online. I have to address this because it's happening en masse. I see some people rejoicing in the fact that Turkey was destroyed. Look, man, I've seen a lot of examples of stuff coming back on people, even on bots. So just be aware, be kind. Be kind when people are in a down and out situation. I'm not trying to lecture you, but I've seen some stuff in the past 24 hours now that really is just... One final thing I will address, when you're going through social media like Twitter and other places, so many people are uploading fake videos of buildings collapsing and old footage from like Japan and other things, trying to get a buck or to scare people or whatever. So be aware, there's a boatload of fake videos that are on Twitter and other places that have nothing to do with this earthquake in Turkey. I don't know why people are doing it, but that is the most uncool thing in the world. I had to fish through so many of them. You'll be able to tell the ones that are no earthquake. It's like a single building collapsing, no debris around, flags in front of the buildings just look like a little, like have it marked off. People uploading building demolitions and so forth, trying to say it's an earthquake. It's the last thing we need, but that's social media for you. Okay, let's go ahead and save this as a video. One more time if you're just now tuning in. A second large earthquake struck over at Turkey 9 hours after the first, and it's roughly the same size, 7.5 to 7.8. It knocked down additional buildings all over the place. It's 60 miles away, so that's an additional area that got destroyed. 60 miles north. So we're probably not going to get the full extent of the damage for a few days, as the new earthquake just damaged a whole new area roughly 100 miles to the north. I mean, it's just if it goes again and we get a new 7, it will not most likely be. It will not be in the same spot. It'll be in a slightly different area, maybe another 60 miles away. Seems like that 60-mile stretch all the way around is what we have to keep an eye on right now. Now, the new 5 going 200 miles to the west lets us know the energy's finally escaping out and going over to the west across Turkey. But until we get new earthquakes going across Italy, Albania, Europe, it's going to be trapped there. When we don't like to see something get trapped, you see what happens when the wave gets trapped in there. It's the global seismic wave getting trapped in an area a few hundred miles across through Turkey, all focused in right there right now. I haven't had to report on anything like this in at least a few years now. I mean, with the multiple large earthquakes and, thousands and thousands of people killed, tens of thousands injured, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. What we are being shown right now, that's what's being actually reported now, are like 2,400 fatalities and 20,000 injuries. All right, I hate to beat the drum on the bad angle on that. I will tell you, there was a warning issued for Turkey to be on watch. I was a magnitude under. I was warning for 6, and instead 7 came in. I'm one-man operation trying to get this perfected in the face of everybody trying to stop me and tell me it can't be done. Dude. Anyway, much love, everybody. For real, much love. It is 1:19 a.m., 11:19 a.m. on the 6th of February, 2023. I'll save this, and we'll upload it over on YouTube. This is just an update to tell everybody. Second large earthquake hit. Devastating damage. United States got hit on the East Coast. Seismic unrest is taking place now, and it will spread across Europe. We're expecting that. We're also expecting a spread. Separately, I'm going to be doing a forecast for the rest of the planet and warn all the other areas that we're going to watch. Got a big week ahead of us, I think. I don't think it's going to be a light week. I hope I'm wrong. But as it stands right now, this is go time. So dust off your emergency kits. Make sure they're updated for the season. I noticed there's a lot of snow on the ground over in Turkey. I had no idea. I thought it was more Mediterranean. I know they get snow, but I just had no idea it would be that cold. So a nice layer of snow on the ground for a lot of the people who got displaced outside. I hate the cold. I hate it with a passion, and I'm from Missouri. Can't stand it. Can you imagine being outside for even more than a few hours during an earthquake? All those poor kids. Oh, the video and the pictures of the kids, man. That's what I want everybody to remember. The kids and the, everybody gets desensitized with adults. Remember the kids and the animals, man. That'll bring it back to you. It'll bring a little bit of that emotion back to you, that you've actually got like a sense of conscience. Just think of the kids and the animals. Everybody imagines, their worst enemy or something. They lose their compassion. Just imagine the kids and the... I've seen the videos, guys. I'll do the watching for you if you want me to, because, man, you don't want to see that shit. Pardon my language. All right, saved, and we will upload to YouTube in just a few, all right? Now, hey, one more time. Guys, much love. Don't be scared. We need to be prepared. This is where you seize the reins. You can either be scared and sit here and be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, or at least have an emergency kit. At least take the time to have a seasonal specific emergency kit. Warm clothes for the winter, obviously. Food and water. Batteries for your flashlight. You don't want to have to use your phone. First aid and sanitation. Medicines. You might require medicines. I could go on and on. There's so many things you could probably need into your emergency kit, but the kit should be like a backpack or a bag that you can grab easily. But as you saw with the people who are trapped on the 5th floor hanging out the side of a freaking building, you're not going to be able to get out of a 5-story building in the middle of the night when you're asleep and an earthquake hits. Those earthquakes hit, at least the first one, hit in the middle of the night. The second one, thank goodness, hit during the day. If it's going to hit during the day, is better at night. And a lot of the people were already out of their structures because they were compromised. But then the people on the street are exposed to all that falling debris. If another 7 hits, it's going to be disastrous. So let's just hope this goes out of the whole area, okay? All right, now I'm done talking. We will upload to YouTube. Be safe. And one more time, much love.